Hello, welcome to Words That Power Murder Hour. And I'm Shelly. I have to share the things right quick. If you come on here, remember to change from top chat to live chat. How's everybody doing today? Oh, wow. Hey, Shermare, how you doing? Right on. Ow. Oh. I'm just gonna hit my foot on everything while I'm over here. Just, because. And Facebook. Hopefully it lets me share this like fairly quickly. That would be cool. Wow, I look grumpy in that picture. I'm just like, grrr. Okay. The screen is so bright. What all can I do on here? Let's see. Hopefully this keyboard is not too loud. So we do have a Discord. For anyone watching the replay or who's here now. My brain is free now and I'm done talking about puffin stuff with my 8-year-old grandson. 8 years old is a good age. Little ones are so cute at that age. That's kind of the perfect age where you can like talk with them and stuff and they don't hate you yet because they're not a teenager. yet. Oh, all right. So, warning to everyone on here, my chronic illness has hit. Hey, Leanne. So, like, every joint in my body hurts, like, even my fingers. Hey, Nikki. So, I'll be moving slowly. Like, even my jaw hurts, everything hurts. Um, so I'll be talking a bit slower, moving a bit slower, and my joints will pop because he had a stroke at birth. Wow. He sounds pretty amazing, your grandson. Loves movies and music. Huh. I mean, I don't know why people equate like your physical body to like your intelligence. I don't get that. Um, Unresponsive at birth, brought back an amazing. Wow, that's a miracle baby right there. Yes, indeed. I don't think you're biased, Leanne. I mean, I don't know. Okay. So I had several people ask me why I quit the sheriff's department. There were a bunch of reasons. Um, there were a bunch of reasons. It wasn't just one thing, is what I'm saying. I'm not the type of person to jump into something for no apparent reason or out of something for no apparent reason, right? Um, wow. Well, it's a good thing that doctor was there that day. That is the universe. Hey, Theater Vamp, how you doing? Like I said, I'm moving slowly right now, so y'all have to bear with me. um, yep. I don't. Miracle babies seem to kind of have this light around them. I don't know if this makes sense, but like, there's like a, I don't know, like they're meant to be here, possibly for a reason, kind of thing. Um, all right, so so there have been a few people who were offended that I'd ever been a sheriff's deputy, given the way that law enforcement, well, I mean, really has always conducted itself, but here, since cameras are everywhere now, right? Um, my joints all hurt everywhere. It's the standard thing that happens every once in a while. Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, so um, when I look at the things that law enforcement is doing, okay, George Floyd, for example, Mr. Castile, Sandra Bland, countless, countless. There are so many cases that I can't keep them all straight, right? Um, I'm glad that I'm not in law enforcement anymore. But a lot of these things were happening back when I was in law enforcement. You just didn't have cameras everywhere like you do now, right? I was the kind of officer who, if somebody had like a camcorder, because this is pre-Katrina, right? If somebody was recording, I didn't care. Because if something bad happened, I figured if I messed up, then I would have to own that. And if somebody else messed up, it would show that I was not at fault. So I was like, go ahead and record, right? Granted, if some weird dude wanted to take a photo of me because he had some weird, like, woman officer fetish, no. Just no, right? All right, so one of the reasons I quit the sheriff's department, somebody had given me a little pocket constitution. And I was like, well, I work in criminal courts. I think it might, I think it would be a good idea to read this and really like memorize it, get to know it, understand how this might apply to me working my job, right? Interacting with citizens of this country. And even, people who are not citizens, right? Is people, right? So I'm sitting there in the courtroom between courts. So you had morning court, afternoon court, and evening court. And I was like somewhere between. And I get to the 13th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and I got stuck there. It was for a while. This was not like a short-term thing. I got stuck there. So there's a reason for it. And it's actually really important, and I don't think most people realize this. I read this like on repeat for a while. And then I worked in a criminal courtroom, so I went to speak with 4 or 5 judges about this 13th Amendment and what it meant. And I didn't just want to talk to Caucasian judges. I wanted to talk to dark-skinned judges, because I was perplexed. And you'll understand why in a minute. All right, so the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, abolition of slavery, 1865. Passed by Congress in January 31st, 1865, ratified on December 6, 1865. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the U.S., but did it? Did it really? Yes, I did. Well, I needed that. And actually, I didn't feel that it was well-rounded enough because I wasn't able to speak with like a woman judge or an indigenous judge. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to have different perspectives on it. Okay. Now pay attention to the words. It's important. Punctuation is also, I think, important. All right, here we go. Section 1. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the U.S. or any place subject to their jurisdiction. And I don't know how to share stuff on here yet. That's another thing I need to learn. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, comma, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, comma, shall exist within the U.S., comma, or any place subject to their jurisdiction, period. Think about that for a minute. Did slavery really end? as we've all been told, slavery ended, right? It's done, ended. Did it? Does it sound like it did? Now you go over to U.S. prison population in 2020. What percentage of the U.S. population is in prison? 0.7%. Now I'm wondering where, it doesn't say where this came from. I think it's Wikipedia. I don't really like Wikipedia, but at the end of 2016, the Prison Policy Initiative estimated that in the U.S. about, that's a lot of people, 2,002,908 300 people were incarcerated out of a population of 324.2 million. Okay, hold on. That's weird. That's not even. See, that's not making much sense. It doesn't. Regardless, I've looked at all kind of statistics from like Department of Justice and whatnot, and the U.S. has the highest incarcerated population that we know of in the world. Okay, so according to U.S. Bureau of Statistics, in 2018, Black males accounted for 34% of the total male population, white males 29%, Hispanic males 24%, white females comprised 47% of the population, compared to Black females who accounted for 18%. Indigenous people aren't even mentioned. So let's think about this. With the wording of the 13th Amendment, so they're ending chattel slavery of people of African descent, right? And indentured servitude. But if you've committed a crime and you've been convicted and you're imprisoned during that time frame, according to the 13th Amendment, kind of sounds like you're considered enslaved. So they take private ownership of humans, ownership. You can't actually own another human, in my opinion, whatever. They take that, they put it in the hands of the government, and they broaden the population of enslaved people. At that point, it becomes not just people of African descent, but also, just people of color across the board, indigenous people, poor white people as well, right? So they increase the prison population. Most people don't know this, but jails and prisons receive a certain amount of money per person, per incarcerated person in their facility. And how much they receive depends, right? They negotiate that. So they're making money off of each person they have housed. And also many prisons, jails, etc., will have companies contract out the inmates to work. And those inmates only make very little money. Very little money. So they may be making clothing, customer service for who knows what service. whatever. The company is making a huge profit, right? The prison is making money. The inmates are making next to nothing. Doesn't that kind of sound like enslavement? Then you also have the hard labor force, and they'll be contracted out to mow lawns and maintain roads, streets and roads and stuff, or who knows what. Fires, help put out fires, paid nothing. Putting their lives on the line, paid nothing. That's enslavement. That is slave labor. So, I'm not a grandma yet, so I don't know. Okay, so did slavery actually end? And this was my question. Now, I'm a certified correctional officer working in a sheriff's department. I deal with incarcerated people all the time, every fucking day. At one point, they were arresting, in DV situations, they were arresting both the victim and the abuser, which made me livid. I cannot express how angry that made me. Because of backlash, they stopped doing it, right? But still, shouldn't even have been a thing to begin with. Now, they were not convicted, right? But while they are housed, while they are staying in the jail is making money off of them being there. Yeah, there are. Yes, we'll get to that. Hey, Captain, how you doing? Okay, so I'm sitting there in the courtroom reading this part of the Constitution, and I'm having some cognitive dissonance because what I'm seeing in the courtroom is people who are poor, who have been arrested, some of them on some straight up bullshit charges. I'm not even going to make light of it. And these people don't have the resources to hire a high-priced attorney to fight the charge, all right? A lot of it has to do with weed. A lot of charges on weed. I had priorities. I did not give a shit about weed. I cared about like domestic violence, SA, things like that, right? And I'm watching people take a plea deal because they don't have the resources for a private attorney. The public defender, on several occasions, fell asleep at the defense table, passed out because he was drunk. He reeked of alcohol. Not even kidding. So they didn't, of course, why would they trust the public defender to actually do his damn job? You know, wake up long enough to briefly glance at their case file. That dude didn't bother to read anything about the people he was representing. He didn't know what was going on. And he was a scumbag. Couldn't stand that dude. He's in private practice now, and I feel sorry for people. Possibly the worst attorney, or, you know, whatever, attorney that I ever saw. I'll get there. I see you, Leanne. Okay. So let's talk about the pipeline to prison, the school to prison pipeline. So there are multiple cases, and I'm going to talk about them later, but there's a reason I'm bringing this up right now. I'm laying the groundwork, okay? Children in schools being penalized for ridiculous shit that it should be like detention or something in school, right? Or suspended. But instead they're arrested. and tossed over to police. A lot of the time, this happens to children of color, poor white kids. Most of these kids, many of these kids, are going to schools that are underfunded or barely funded. There's a lot. So, prisons, jails for adults. It's a money industry. Well, now things are, there are companies now who want to turn things more privatized. Why is that? Because there's free labor to be had. I mean, basically free. They can fire all of the trained, certified staff. And if they want to be rehired, they have to take a significant pay cut. Or they can hire people straight out of high school, whatever, no qualifications. They shouldn't be even contemplating working in a jail or a prison. From what I've heard, a lot of these places don't do, like they do minimal background checks, okay? Minimal training. They cut corners on everything they possibly can, medical, food, anything and everything, right? Why? Because it's just all about the money. They can make money off of housing the inmates. They can also make money off the labor. Hey.
Hi, everyone.
So, all right. So I sat with several different judges asking them about the 13th Amendment. And we would get into these really deep conversations about it. And the one judge, I'm not going to say his name, but I didn't realize I was opening a Pandora's box when I asked him about this. He would get mad and he would yell and you would hear him all the way on the other side of the courthouse. Okay, it was like he was an opera singer or something. He could project his voice. And when I asked him this, his temper would slowly rise through the roof. And then he would just... So apparently me asking him this question, and like trying to clarify and trying to understand meant that he liked me after that because I got it, because he hated the 13th Amendment for the way that it was written. And that in effect it made incarcerated people enslaved people. Those are his words. He was a judge. Okay. Mm-hmm. So seeing his response to that really opened my eyes. And then the one judge he was a black man, talked with him about it. And when I asked him, he just like that, just was like, and that spoke volumes to me. And then we got into this conversation that was like really deep about it. And it, really got me thinking. Captain. Private prisons, yeah. Private prisons should not exist, but greed. And they will donate to politicians like campaign funds and stuff to try to push for, not decriminalizing cannabis and all this other stuff. Like they want prohibitions going on so they can increase the prison population so they can make more money.
Mm-hmm. Also against closing or deprivatizing prisons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go pick up the little one.
Okay. Can you grab me a coffee before you go?
Yeah. Let me use the bathroom.
Oh, did you want to... Wait, you did say hi.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Judges can be scary when you... Yes. Yeah. That is true. I mean, he wasn't really scary to me because I got where, the kind of person he was. He was just really passionate about certain things, and would get really ticked off if there was an injustice going on, like, or if someone did something they weren't supposed to be doing. Like he would light a fire up on anyone's ass. He did not care. Yes. Well, there shouldn't be any incentives for privatization at all, because that leads to all kinds of corruption. I'm of the opinion that, I don't know, I'm thinking that maybe it might be a better idea to have actual trained personnel, like people who know what they can and cannot do, know what rights a person has, even in prison, because yes, you still have rights in prison. Am I saying that all certified correctional officers are, perfect? No, nope, no, not saying that at all. All right, so I took a lot of time thinking about that and about everything I was seeing in the courtroom with people taking a plea deal on something that was, they could have fought and they probably would have won, but at what cost? Because now we have to get into bond settings. I'm of the opinion that if you're in for something that is nonviolent, and not extremely harmful, so I would say violent criminals are violent offenders, and like con artists who are stealing millions of dollars and are a flight risk, people like that, okay, they should have bonds set. Domestic violence, yes. Why? Because they're a danger to their victim. Okay. Child abusers, right? But if you're caught smoking cannabis, give them a summons, treat it like alcohol or whatever. Leave it at that. It's all about priorities. If we were to legalize cannabis for recreational and for medical, just across the board, legalize it, let it go, right? A good chunk of the prison population in this country would be out. And then guess what? You have more room for the really heinous people who shouldn't be out in the public, because they are actually a threat to people directly. Okay. Because I've seen people who were said to have had a joint, but like in the evidence bag, you couldn't see if there actually was any material there. Like the evidence bag had to be emptied out onto a piece of white paper to see if there actually was anything there, is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of fuckery going on. And it has been for a while. Okay, so there was a lot wrapped up in the 13th Amendment for me. It wasn't just the 13th Amendment on its own. It was how the criminal justice system works and the effect that has on whole communities. And I'm pretty sure there's a better way we can go about this without destroying people's lives. So, somebody who is violent or harms children, serial assayers, etc., they shouldn't be out in the world. But quite often they are. They're released because there isn't enough room in the prison. but there could be more than enough room, easily. If we had treatment facilities, rehab centers that were not astronomically expensive, if we had counseling and therapists that was not prohibitively expensive, if we had safety nets for people who have substance abuse problems, which usually stem from trauma. So you're taking somebody who is traumatized, who is trying to numb out the pain with some sort of substance, and you're traumatizing them way, way worse by imprisoning them. How's that going to make anything better? It isn't. It's only going to make it worse, right? But then too, you have what's called diversion courts, so drug court, right? Okay, so there's a problem there too. There are groups that are supposed to help people with substance abuse problems, right? But many of these groups are, and I shit you not, I've seen this, okay? They receive monies from, I can't remember if it was local, state, or federal. I don't remember. It might have been a combination. But they are religious based. Now, there's nothing wrong with religion, but the one place I know for a fact did not have an actual counselor or therapist working there. It was just a preacher. It was a minister who had no training. None. No training in being a therapist. None. And several people complained about it because they actually wanted to get clean and improve their lives. They wanted to get out of the criminal justice system. They wanted to be healthy, right? Like mentally and physically healthy. But they were not receiving the help they actually, like the real help that they needed. And the one guy went to the judge. Actually, this happened in the courtroom in front of the judge, and he was like, "This is not working. I need a therapist. I really need a real therapist." And the judge was flabbergasted. We all were. But yeah, it was a minister, and I think his wife and a couple other people, and no therapists in the building. So you got these people who, many of whom had childhood trauma, who knew that the substances weren't actually helping, and they wanted to address that childhood trauma, but they're dealing with people who didn't have a clue what they were doing. Okay, they were just making that money. And this is what I mean by wolves in sheep's clothing. Not everyone who says they're a Christian is actually a Christian. And really, it should be shepherds in, like, wolves in shepherd's clothing, maybe. All right. And I think that was in the news at one point. I don't know if that was like national. It might have just been here, but federal prisoners are a whole different. That's yes. Set them up to fail when they're released. Yes, there's a lot of that. That's why I'm setting this foundation right now. We're gonna get to that. That doesn't make any sense. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. If you're trying to lower your recidivism rate, I can never say that word right the first time. If you're trying to lower that, you need actual real therapists and caregivers who understand how to help that person, right? I'm just saying, that just makes sense to me. And the judge, oh Lord, my judge was not happy, not having any of it. In fact, that was the only time I ever saw that judge. That was one of the few times I saw my judge get angry. that I was like, damn, I'm leaving the building. Like, I don't want to be here for this. So as I'm witnessing all of this, and I'm like, I'm also witnessing how SA survivors are treated, witness intimidation, just being kind of la-di-da, whatever. And that's a big thing. That happens a lot. People talk about false allegations, but what they don't realize is those victims who drop their cases against their abusers quite often are being intimidated by the abuser and or the family and friends of the abuser to drop the charges. That's going to be a whole nother stream. I think a huge problem is the therapists themselves. They need more trauma. Yes. And the sooner you get to a trauma therapist after the trauma, the better. But yes, there needs to be more of both, really. So, okay, I'm witnessing all of this, and weighing heavy on me is the 13th Amendment. And I'm thinking back to the crack epidemic that just tore through Black communities, Indigenous communities, just poor people communities, right? And I guess one could say I'm a victim of that to a degree, which I may or may not talk about at some point. And I'm like, wow, a lot of people profited off of that, didn't they? They did. And a lot of people lost their housing, their vehicles, everything they owned, unless they had family to step in and grab all their property out before they were evicted, right? A lot of people lost everything and still are. So if you have a bond, let's say you're accused of stealing a backpack. There's no evidence. You're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. You don't fit the description of the suspect. You don't have the money to bond out. And the judge, instead of giving you a ROR, which is release on recognizance, or releasing you to a family member if you're a minor, yes, I'm talking about one specific case. Instead of doing that, they just incarcerate you. For all you law enforcement out there who are like, blah, 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 you're bitching about that. It is better that 10 guilty men should go free than one innocent man should be convicted. Who am I quoting? I'm quoting someone. All right, so thank you, baby. Love you. Okay, so you are accused of something, but you don't have the money to bond out. I'm of the opinion that if you are accused of certain things, you shouldn't even have a bond, because it puts an undue burden on poor people as a whole to get that bond money together to get you out. If you are middle class, upper middle class, wealthy, it's fairly easy for you to bond out. If you're poor, maybe you have a $500 bond, forget about it. It's going to be like pulling teeth. I've seen it countless times. My question is, what kind of country do we want to have? what are our priorities? So my question became, when I was working in the SD, am I okay with this? Because a majority of the people I was seeing was Black people. And a majority, a good chunk of what I was seeing was some bullshit. So when I finally got to the point where I just couldn't take anymore, there was a serial essayer, and it was bad. I don't want to go into too much detail, but when when he was going to roll through Mad Court for his bond setting, somebody showed me his criminal history, his criminal record. He'd had, in I think a span of 2 weeks, something like 8 or 9 victims. He was out on probation for good behavior in the prison. As soon as he got out, he started up again. He should have remained in prison. He had an extensive, violent history against women. I'm talking DV, you name it. But he was released because there wasn't room in the prison. They couldn't have released 5 or 10 people for smoking a joint and kept him in there to keep women safe. And I was just like, the fuck am I doing here? What exactly are we doing here? What is this culture's priority? Not keeping women safe. That is for damn sure. So, no, I did not quit the sheriff's department because I was scared. That's what one person said. Nope. I never carried a weapon. And I was never scared. But I was, however, disgusted. I've seen firsthand that racism is, in fact, systemic in this country. It isn't just racism, though. It's also classism. If you're poor, you're screwed. If you are poor and you end up in the criminal justice system, you are fucked. Good luck getting out of that. It could take you 4, 5, 6 years. You're going to pay not just fines and fees for the initial crime, but also every time you, like if you're diverted to drug court or domestic violence court, you might pay for a drug test and some other thing, and then another thing. You're going to pay way more than your fines and fees, in the thousands. And that will be hard for you to keep up with, because you might have to go to court once or twice, sometimes once a week. So our drug court was on Thursdays, I think it was. So every Thursday you have to take off work. How are you going to keep a job that way? But then you also have to go to the therapy and the community service and all these other things. So how can you keep a job? How are you going to pay those fines and fees? If you don't pay the fines and fees, you get remanded back into the prison. Do you see what I'm saying? The entire system is set up so that you will fail if you are poor. And there's very little leeway. Mental illness, yeah. Yep. No, they're not treated in prison. They're treated, but not to therapy. That was another thing that that, mental illness, how people with mental illness are treated. I'm going to be doing a live stream about that. Also, how trans people are treated in prisons. Just how women are treated. It just goes on and on. But according to the 13th Amendment, if you are convicted of a crime, let's go back and think about this some more. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the U.S. or any place subject to their jurisdiction. So, but now we are seeing there are cameras everywhere, right? Cell phones, CCTV cameras, ring cams. People have their own personal dash cams in their cars. There are cameras everywhere. So now you're seeing way more of all of the brutality that's been going on, probably since Europeans first came here, to minority people and women and poor people. You're seeing it. It's all over the place now. Now you can't ignore it. Now it's here. Okay? One of the first things I learned when I was not even at the academy, at the 90-hour course. There's a 90-hour course. There was, various different things. But one of the first things we were told is it is not your job to be judge, jury, and executioner. It is your job to provide care, custody, and control. Care being the first word. And my FTOs drilled in our heads that they would gladly, happily throw a party afterward, throw us under the bus if we did something we weren't supposed to be doing. Some sort of malfeasance or brutality or any of that. They didn't give a fuck. That's what we were told. That's how we were trained. If you mess up, you're on your own. Which I respected. But this qualified immunity, that's going to be another live stream. We're going to talk about that because that is some bullshit. I'm an ex-sheriff's deputy and I'm saying it's bullshit. Why is it bullshit? Because it's a get out of jail free card. Literally. So you've got the 13th Amendment that enslaves anyone who is convicted of a crime. Some people think that just means like while you're in prison, not when you're out, when you are released. But it doesn't say anything about that in the 13th Amendment. If you're convicted of a crime, does that mean it up until you die? I have so many questions. So, what if you're just convicted of like a traffic ticket? So many questions. So that is why I quit. Well, part of the reason why I quit the sheriff's department. Alrighty, I think I've answered that question pretty well. How's everybody doing? Let's open up the chat part of this. If I haven't chased everyone off. Okay, I can close all of these out, I think. I feel like that was a pretty heavy. This is a pretty heavy stream. I'm sorry, but I could understand that would be so demoralizing to go to every day. It was, man. When I realized, like, fully realized the ramifications and, like, really thought about many different things, I was like, I cannot be part of this. Like, no. Nope, still here. Was trying to hold my tongue till you were done. It seems like that setup to fail thing is strong. Yeah, it is. It is. It got to the point, and I'm a workaholic now. Yo, I'm a workaholic, okay? I'm usually like the first one there to work, and I just get it done, right? But it got to the point where I was late quite a bit, and that's weird for me. And like I had to drag my ass to work, which is not like me. So because it was just it was messed up. There was more, and I'll get into that stuff later, but because a lot of this goes into how women are judged, how men are judged, how, way too harshly. I've got to go. It's midnight here, but I'll catch up the replay. Very interesting discussion. I agree the whole system needs redoing from scratch. Yes. Yep. I forgot. Are you in? Wait, you're in the new UK, right, Nikki? I do believe. Someday I will get back to the UK. Sleep good. Hopefully I don't give you nightmares. Yeah, so yeah. So at least I have this one done. I can mark that off the list. Yay. Ow. So this was kind of an early stream. I'm going to try to see if I can do another one tonight, but I just want to get this done and out of the way. And I figured doing it this way, I don't have to edit it, When did you leave again? Wait, who? This is a domino effect. It affects everyone in the family, especially kids. Yep. Yes. If you're asking when I left the sheriff's department, that was like a year before Katrina. So that was a while ago. So I've basically been looking for like the best way that I can be helpful to people. Yeah. Okay. It was like a year. I want to say it was about a year before Katrina. I am bad with time. I'd have to go look at my paperwork. And I don't feel like doing that. So, but yeah. Sometimes when I look at these like crime shows, like NCIS and all that, I'm like, it's really not that glamorous at all. Or like courtroom dramas, I'm like, no, it's actually really boring. It's a lot of hurry up and then wait. It's not, I don't know. It's not everything that TV makes it out to be. Granted, I find it interesting, but I don't know. It would be nice if we rethought the whole thing and actually made things equitable. Now, in my mind, at times, there was music. But no, there was no dun dun. The one time that, oh God, this attorney, if you want to call him that, this lawyer, whatever, when he fell asleep at the defense table, he was a public defender, and the judge was eyeballing me and then looking at the attorney, and I'm like, what, you know, I'm not in charge of this person. And I already hated this dude anyway, because at one point I was up writing out, oh shoot, I forgot the name for him now, subpoenas for people who would come into court. I write out it was like a note that you had to appear in court later, right? So I'm writing these out and I'm trying to keep up with the judge. And this attorney, this defense public defender, comes up and asks me to go get him a coffee while I'm in the middle of working, like I'm his secretary or something. And I was sitting not that far away from the judge, and the judge looked over at him and was like, she doesn't work for you. Like, the judge is in the middle of doing what he's doing, right? Like, so this dude basically disrupted the whole courtroom. And he was just rude like that. Like, when I was pregnant with my oldest, I was working at the sheriff's department, and I craved French fries. McDonald's, French fries. I might have caught a charge over McDonald's French fries. I'm just saying. So I had my French fries sitting there. I'm towards the end of the third trimester. I am not to be trifled with, okay? Like, dude walks up to my thing of fries, dives his whole hand in, and rummages around looking for some fries, right? Everything in the room stopped. Everyone stopped talking. Like, it was like the music, like the record player, like went, you know? And everyone understood that he had done fucked up. And right as I was about to go off on this dude, like, people just swarmed him, pushed him out of the room. Men are yelling at him, like, don't you know any better? Like, you know, and somebody went and got me more fries. I don't even, like, you know, when you're pregnant and you're that far along, things get weird. That should have been against the law, and I wanted desperately to chop his fingers off. Yes, he was just this short little runty guy who was just an asshole. And I don't know why he chose to do that, but apparently he thought it was okay. And he came up to me later to try to apologize, and I was just like, I don't ever want to speak to you again. Don't ever talk to me again. Don't ever ask me for anything again. No. The answer will be no. So, but yeah, he was the public defender. This asshole, this entitled asshole, was the public defender. And he didn't look at the cases. He didn't look inside any of those files except for maybe one or two. Did you ever see lawyers accepting debt repayment from clients? Not that I am aware of. There were rumors about certain things, but, you know, I don't even have to be pregnant Stick your hand in my food. No, no, lose a finger. Yeah, right. But it's even worse when you're, it's just because for I was all belly. Okay, I would just turn into a belly. So to walk over to the McDonald's, it was a chore for me to walk there and back. Um, this was maybe 3 weeks before I had my oldest, and I was workaholic. I worked right up until 2 days before she was born. Um, but yeah, he was such a dick. But that just shows you, like, what I saw. Most of the public defenders, they were just, they didn't give a fuck. They did not care. They just wanted that mark on their resume, or, a cush job where they didn't really have to do too much, You remember that lawyer I told you about asked me if I was his client, and a week later he was on the news for that? Oh, right. I've seen attorneys do some of the weirdest shit. Okay. Uh, and one judge, I the stories I could tell. Okay. Some people forget that there are cameras in courthouses and the garage under the courthouse. That, man. Oh my God. There's a lot of shenanigans that happens all over the country. Hey Shannon, how you doing? I miss your face. She's always posting yummy looking food on Facebook, and I'm like, damn it, woman. Yeah, it's evil. But yeah, let's see. I met you, Shannon, after, was it after Katrina? I want to say it was after Katrina. So that would have been after I worked in the sheriff's department. I was treated like a princess when I was pregnant with my first. I was an accountant assistant for an architect firm, mostly men, most of them young, and never hung with a pregnant woman, right? The reason I couldn't stop looking at him was because he was obviously on something. I've seen that. I know exactly what you're talking about. He would roll me around in my desk chair. Oh, I had people taking there was a pot going on whether or not I would give birth to my oldest in the courtroom. Not joking. My one judge actually looked up how to help deliver a baby. He was like, if you're always going to be working and you refuse to go on maternity leave, I might as well brush up on this. Like, there were people who thought I was going to give birth to her in the courtroom. And I was like, there's no way in hell I will be half naked in this courtroom. No way. It's not happening. Yeah, court baby. It would have kind of made sense, like, with her personality now, if she had been born in a courtroom. She was born fairly quickly. I was not in labor long. I don't remember how long it was, but it was not very long. Yeah. I still wonder who won the pot, though. You know what I mean? Like, who won that bet? Because, like, I worked Friday, then I had Saturday and Sunday off, and I do believe she was born on that Sunday. Like, it was just a fluke that I wasn't at work. I worked till the week before he was born, and I was 2 weeks late. Yeah, I was late too. I was like, I can't remember. It might have been around 2.5 weeks past the due date. That's part of the reason everyone was like, people would walk through the courtroom looking at me like, how you feeling? Is the baby kicking? And the way my courtroom was to go get people in for their bond setting, I had to go, or like whatever court proceeding in my court. In the back of the courtroom, there was a flight of stairs, and then you had what's called the hall, right, which led to the docks. And that just seemed like I was walking from one side of a football field to the other. Like, it felt like it took forever. Like what had once been like a quick, easy walk, man, when you're like in your third trimester, there's nothing quick or easy about it. And that uniform, man, duty rig and uniform while pregnant, I don't recommend. No. But yeah, so yeah, it's a heavy subject, but I think it's worth talking about, especially now. You know, all things considered, I think people really need to start thinking about these things. And I think that the 13th Amendment needs to be addressed. I was working in Ann Arbor, so it was parking structure, then a 5-block walk. Oh, Lord. They ended up giving me one of the owner's spots in the lot. I mean, thank God, because I can't even imagine that. But I'm small. Okay, I'm tiny. So when I'm pregnant, I'm just belly. I'm just belly with a head on it and some feet. And like arms poking out. But yeah, I had the penguin waddle full on. And you know, being in a black uniform, I just needed a little bit of white to complete the penguin look. That was me. But yeah, fun times. I actually, yet again, in my third trimester, I was sitting outside because I was a living heater. I could not get cool enough even in the middle of winter, so I went and sat outside. And this woman comes up to me and she's like angry about something, and she like comes right up to me and I'm like, ma'am, you need to back off away from me. Because I'm pregnant and I was actually a high risk pregnancy. So I had a fear of falling down, you know? And she got all like upset and like butthurt because she was like invading my personal space. And with the martial arts training, and I'm in uniform, I'm like, I need you to give me some space, right? She was a city councilor or something and went and complained about me saying that. Well, there's a camera right there. There was a camera right there. I don't mind being recorded for this reason, right? She starts complaining that I was rude to her and all this and that. The camera had sound. She said I cussed her out. The camera had sound. So of course they go and watch the video. And I was tired. I just wanted to sit down and be left alone for a minute, right? And she's just like, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on. Okay, I don't work out here. I work in there. Like, this is not my pay grade or area of expertise. And yeah, like, that was amazing. How does a city councilor, I wonder, drive a Lexus and wear Armani? I'm still flabbergasted by that to this day. I'm still questioning. But whatever. I digress. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of amazing how flamboyantly and openly corrupt people in government can be. It's amazing. So yeah, okay, from this point forward, we're going to have some interesting live streams. I have set this groundwork. And I'm going to reference this in future live streams. Embezzlement. I wouldn't be surprised at all, because apparently money can mysteriously appear in someone's freezer. Just random, millions of dollars. Whatever, dude. And then they can get reelected. Don't even get me started about the coroner's office. Lord, it just amazes me. Government pay for lower level employees isn't great. Well, I'm not surprised. Not surprised. I mean, I wasn't paid that well either. Really glad for the benefits though, because the health benefits when you're pregnant, I mean, there was a copay, but it was helpful. And the doctor was really good. So, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of things we're going to be talking about in the future. And how law enforcement behaves with certain things. And there's a reason that I've done this live stream right here. Okay. And, we just touched on part of, I'm not sure when I'm going to do it, but like poverty. We're going to talk more about that. But yeah. How you doing, Shannon, by the way? How's everybody doing? Is everybody doing okay? I'm looking forward to it. I have a lot of thoughts, but I don't know the inside outs. Well, we're going to go there. We're going to turn that shit inside out too. Sorry if you can hear my bones cracking, my joints. I cannot help it. Oh boy. Well, I'm glad you're doing okay, Captain. I mean, a meh day is better than a bad day. I'm actually kind of having a meh day. But it feels good to be on here and accomplishing something, I hope. I get it. I have RA and severe OA. What is OA? Rheumatoid arthritis and OA. Then again, that could be dyslexia. It could be AO. I'm not sure. I crack all the time, all day long. Osteoarthritis. Right. Okay. I thought so, but I wasn't sure. At least it wasn't the dyslexia. That's good. Yeah, I have a type of porphyria. So that means the sun is not my friend. And sometimes, just for whatever reason, all of my joints will hurt. It's like everything hurts. So it's hard for me to brush my hair, change my clothes, anything, really. So if all my joints are hurting and I'm sunsick at the same time, I'm just in bed, curled in a ball. Like, there's no moving when that happens. So, yay for genetics. I don't know if y'all can hear that motorcycle, but wow, that is some small penis energy. someday I'm going to go to some of these restaurants that Shannon goes to because they look good. Every time I hear a motorcycle, I'm going to think that now. I mean, as part of the reason we moved this back here is so there would be less of the loud noise. But every once in a while, somebody has their motorcycle turn it up to like 100, and there's just no getting away from it. So I really want to do another makeup stream for Elsa now that she's out. We didn't run any of our errands today, and there was something I was going to do for that that I wasn't able to do. So I don't know. I might try to do that at some point this week. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. YouTube is weird. So weird. Okay. So apparently YouTube is doing that thing again where they are getting rid of subscribers. So if you were subscribed, check and make sure you are still subscribed. I'm probably going to end this stream right here, and maybe we can jump on later and talk about something else, something a little bit lighthearted. Just as like a palate cleanser maybe. Might take a break for like half an hour or so. But yeah, remember that you have the right to say no, and your no should be respected. If it is not respected, yeet that person out into the sun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of the things. Every little bit helps the channel grow. Thinking about my schedule makes my head hurt that I'm grocery shopping, right? Grocery shopping is just... Yeah, see you later, Sharemare. I might grab something to eat real quick. So, yeah. Do all the things. Oh, laundry. No, I don't even want to think about laundry right now. Or dishes or any of that. Huh. All right, y'all. I'll see you in a little bit. Bye.